Hello and welcome to another CAD clip on AutoCAD 2007 3D, and I've just got some notes here on the side, and I've got some props set up over here to do this lesson. In this lesson we're going to jump around some general information that I've been kind of compiling as we're going, and we will be slowing it down and talking about some of these commands specifically in detail, but just a couple of tidbits that we can get a little bit ahead, look a little bit ahead, and kind of jump around a bit. So all I want to talk about here, a couple different topics. One is visual styles. I know we've talked about it, and we will continue to talk about it. And I have said I seriously have the jitters with my AutoCAD 2007. I love playing with that edge modifiers with the overhang and the jitter. We're going to take a look at that. Couple things about the orbit command and setting perspective and then exporting that visual style to a palette. So one thing I want to point out is, for instance, we've got our views palettes over here. When we change our views, okay, all we're doing is changing our viewpoint of the model. Okay, these are not visual styles, these are just views of the model, preset views, and then you can create your own views and save them and stuff inside of here and add cameras, etc. So we have that, and we combine our views with our visual styles. Right now I'm using 2D wireframe. I can look at this in a 3D wireframe. I can look at this in a 3D hidden view, and I can look at this in a realistic view, and I can look at this in a conceptual view. Now, depending on how I want to do this, what I've done is played around with my edging and jitters, etc., in my realistic visual style, as you can see in here. And I know I've read a little bit in some blogs and discussion groups that plotting has been difficult, and I don't know if it's fixed with the service pack or not, but I know that I'm having no problems plotting this in 2D and in 3D. So all I want to show you, what I've done here is I've hit my button here on my visual styles to go into management, and you see you've got your visual styles here, and I can go down to this one, and all I've done is gone in, and I encourage you to go in and try these out. We've got some edge modifiers, and simply you can toggle this on and on anytime you want. You can see it taking place in the background, and as you apply these, you can then say, you know, if you do want an overhang, for instance, or if you want to have your jittering, and then you can set the detail level inside of here and start to play with some of these numbers and turn these things up and down and stuff like that. Okay, so have a look inside of your edge settings, try playing with your colors and stuff, and materials, etc., shadow. So what I've done is, and this is visual styles are drawing specific. Okay, so when you take this, you can always right click on here and you can say, you know, apply to viewport, or you can actually just drag it into the viewport and it'll change. If you drag this into there, drag that into there. Okay, so if you want to have a look at it, just drag it in, and we'll talk about visual styles a little bit more. Okay, and then as I use my shift middle mouse button, I can, you know, swivel around here and have a look at that using my normal orbit command. We've got some more orbit commands, and you can see there's flyouts, okay, constrained orbit, free orbit, and then our continuous orbit, and we'll talk about these a little bit more later. When you're in your orbit command, if I go in here and say free orbit and click on it, if I right click, you can go down in here and you can go to other settings, etc. But I can also say perspective mode, and now I'm going to orbit that around, depending on how I grab that, in perspective mode. Okay, so I can go now to a different type of orbit. Oh, not swivel. I want to go to constraint orbit. Okay, and then I can swivel around, but I'm in perspective mode. Okay, and you can stop and you can do this in a viewport, and you can plot this, and you know what you see is what you get. So you can get some pretty interesting things. Now, outside of that, if I change my view, okay, I can still I'm still in perspective mode. So look as I pan. Isn't that interesting how that works? If I zoom around, okay, even if I was in 2D wireframe, okay, a little bit different 2D wireframe, back to my realistic, Okay, now if I pan now, I'm doing just a lateral pan. But if I go back to my orbit and I right click and I set myself to be perspective mode, okay, I'm going to get a little different effect when I go over the top. Okay, also if I go to top view here, okay, notice now when I middle mouse and I pan, the effect it has. Okay, because I'm in perspective mode. So you can see how you're combining visual styles with your orbit command and with your views all in one. Okay, we can also apply these visual styles to a 2D drawing. I have a drawing that comes with AutoCAD as a sample file. You can go dig it up in the samples folder under program files. Similarly, in this drawing, I can go into the visual styles of that particular drawing. And the thing is, in 2D wireframe, okay, if I go here to be 2D, you won't see that edge modifier or jittering, etc., and overhang. But if you go down here to, say, conceptual, you'll see that, and you can make new ones as well by right-clicking on in here. And now I can go in and I can turn on the jitters, okay, that I have, and then I can take that and drag it into my drawing. Oh, I already had one. I could use this one. Okay, drag that into my drawing. So even in a regular 2D floor plan, okay, you can add jittering and you can plot this out to make it look like a pencil drawing. And I just really like this. So overhang 6, medium, maybe I want this to be, low. Okay, and create angle. Maybe I'll drop the angle down, etc. Maybe I'm going to put a different gap inside of here. Okay, you can play with those and save those. Once you get that the way you want, okay, this one here, which is conceptual, I can right click and say export to active tool palette. So it'll actually place that on my tool palette. Okay, now that I have that, if I was to go to a different drawing, for instance, inside of here, guess what I can do? Now I can click on that palette and apply that to it. So to move visual styles from drawing to drawing, what you do is, what I've been doing, is right-clicking on it and exporting it to the palette, because otherwise visual styles are drawing specific. So then you can make your own visual styles palette by right-clicking here and saying, new palette, visual styles, give it a name, and then make that the active palette in your palette set, and then go in any drawing and create new visual styles and right click and export that to your tool palette. So there's some good information there. Okay, I'll just turn this off for now, and I'm going to pan over, turn off my palettes, go to 2D wireframe. So visual styles, jittering and edge overhang, you can add those two in. A little bit on orbit and perspective, exporting it to a palette. Now I want to talk about some different shapes and what we can do here. I'm just going to draw a line here, and this I don't have to have my ortho on. Draw another line, draw a circle here, draw another circle here, draw a rectangle over here, draw another rectangle over here. Okay, so I can go look at that in there. So what we can do here, just as some different shape types. Now these are all solids, I should say, before I do anything. These objects up inside of here, cone, sphere, pyramid, okay, your primitive solids. If I list this, LI, it'll tell me it's a 3D solid and it's a box. If I list this out, it'll tell me it's a 3D solid and it's a cylinder, etc. So note that. Now, I'm going to take this line and I'm just going to go to the properties of that line and I'm going to give it thickness. Okay, a thickness of 10. Enter. Okay, and then if I look at this in hidden, okay, that will actually, hide things because it's a line that has thickness, and you can use that. If you list that, it tells you it is a line with thickness. Okay, and you can do different things with that. Not as flexible, definitely, as solids and surfaces. Okay, now I'm going to take a line and extrude it. I'm going to go to my dashboard here, and on my 3D make, I'm going to go extrude. I'm going to pick on here, enter, and I'm going to just extrude that line up like that. Okay, I'm also going to extrude a circle. Extrude this, enter here. I'm also going to extrude this rectangle. Okay, now if I list this, tells me it is an extruded surface, okay, and gives you some information. If I list this, it tells me it's a 3D solid and it's an extrusion, as opposed to this is a 3D solid and a cylinder. Okay, and all I want to do is point out that they can look the same, but they're not exactly the same. If I list this, it's a 3D solid and it's an extrusion, as opposed to this, which is a box. Okay, but they are 3D solids. Okay, and with that, you'll notice you have some grips. Okay, you'll notice you'll have different grips with this one because this was created as a box, which means it has grips that do this. Okay, whereas this was extruded, so all it really has is the grip that moves it up and down. Okay, same as this and the same as that. Okay, and we can look at that in 2D wireframe as well. Okay, it looks like that. These objects, you can see this looks very much like that, but it's not quite the same. Although we can, in particular with the circle, do similar things by using the grips. Okay, remember, use your space bar when you get to grips to rotate, scale, mirror, etc., and all that good stuff. Okay, now I'm going to go back to maybe my realistic view. Now I'm going to do a circle with thickness, so I'm going to click on that circle. I can double click it if I want and go into here and say thickness is, 8. Enter. Now that's a circle with thickness. Okay, if I do the different views, okay, you will see shift middle mouse, okay, circle with a thickness. Okay, I think it used to put a top on it, but it doesn't put a top on it anymore. Go back to regular 3D view. Okay, circle with a thickness. Okay, I'm pretty sure circles with thicknesses used to put a surface on the top, and in this case, if you click on an object and do shift middle mouse, it'll swivel only that one object. Okay, now I'm going to give this, double click on this polyline, or click once maybe, go to my properties, and give that polyline or rectangle a thickness of 10. And that goes up. Okay, and you'll see that thickness with polylines and circles don't put a top on it. Extrusions do, of course, here, and then align with the thickness. And you could also do the same thing with an arc. Okay, so just getting used to looking at these and recognizing what they are and how they operate and the differences between the objects. Okay, this here is a polysolid, of course, which has the grips that work that way. We can go in and draw a new polysolid by going to, where's my polysolid command? And there it is right there, polysolid. We can say, okay, start, and we can set the width, but I think I've already got a decent width in there, so polysolid's probably one of the coolest. And remember, we have to hit an enter, not an escape on that. And then with that polysolid, we can take those grips, and using our ortho, you can do all kinds of neat stuff like that. Shift middle mouse button after we grab it. Okay, start to use some of our Boolean operations. Okay, one of the things I like is if you take an object now in 3D and you move that around, you can actually see it reappear and disappear as it kind of blends its way through the surfaces. And you can, do that in conceptual mode as well by taking these objects and moving them around. So the AutoCAD 3D has come a long way with that. Okay, so there's a little bit on some different shapes. We also have a planar surface. I'm going to go back to my top view over here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a polyline and C for close. Okay, and now I'm going to go over to here and say planar surface, and now I'm going to say O for object, and then hit this, enter, and it makes that into a planar surface. Now if I go and look at that in a 3D view, I can take that planar surface and then I can extrude it by going in here, extrude this, boom. Okay, any shape you want from a polyline. Okay, now the difference is this, if I list this, okay, this is a 3D solid, and it's an extrusion. Okay, as opposed to, we can do it different ways. We can just extrude maybe a polyline by itself. Let's try that. C for close. Let's do an extrude, this, enter, and then list this. So one was a polyline, 3D, so there doesn't seem to be too big of a difference. Okay, but you can do different things with surfaces. So a polyline extruded, polyline converted to a planar surface. Okay, we'll talk more about that, and then that being extruded. Okay, just some more information there. So drawing some different shapes, and remember, list them and have a look, and they note how they compare and how they view with the different visual styles. Okay, list the objects, compare, and move them around, which we did. Boolean operations. Notice that what happens is if I click on here, I have all my grips. If I take this and grip it, move it to there, then I take it and I say, you know, move this over to here. Okay, I'll go look at this in 3D, and I can leave those, and you probably should leave them ununioned as long as you can, because you can still manipulate them with all their grips. Okay, once I union these two guys together, okay, it gives me my edge that I want in here, but the problem now is that I've lost my grips. If I list it, it's a 3D solid, and that's it. It doesn't give me my cylinder and my, and you can, there's different tricks you could, you know, do to work around that as well, but reverse engineering that can be tricky sometimes, so you might want to duplicate and keep some copies and get creative with it. The same thing if I subtract from here, enter this, okay, I can do something like that. Click on it, shift middle mouse button, swivel that around, see what effect that has. Okay, change my visual styles. Kind of like the look of that. So we have that. Okay, back to my top view, check my notes here. So Boolean, note the grips that take place after you've done your Boolean operations, and these here are Boolean operations: add, subtract, or union, subtract, and intersect. The imprint, I just want to touch on a little bit about the press, pull, and how display selection works with that, and we'll close it off for the time being. So we want to do an imprint. So what I'm going to do here, because we have our great new DUCS command, I can go in and draw a polyline, and then if my dynamic UCS is on, I can make sure I'm hovering over this, and you might want to go to a different visual display so you can see your edges, and I can maybe click on here and go over to here, and this could be an arc, it could be whatever I want. Escape. Now the thing is, shift middle mouse, I know that's on that edge, okay, and because I drew the line there, so I can go down now if I want, hover over this edge, draw a line from here to here to here, doesn't matter. Okay, that's just the dynamic UCS. So the imprint command, which is over here, which is wonderful, is we can say imprint, and we say select a 3D solid, and we pick that, select an object to imprint, click on that, delete the source object, yes, and then select an object to imprint. Maybe I'll pick on that one too. I don't know if they're both going to work. Now, if I go to my press pull, I can hover over that edge and pull those edges out. But I've set up a booby trap here, because right now, and this everyone will this might happen to you, is that you have a surface that you've created, and you're trying to press pull, but your selection is not turned on properly. So quickly, I see disk space, so I'm going to go into my options, or you can go into it, selection. I'm going to turn this on right here. Selection preview is the key here in this little lesson. And now when I go back to do my press pull, I can hover over that particular edge. Well, not sure. Let's try that again. Press pull. Okay, oh, there we go. Hover over this edge, and now after I've done that imprint, I can do something like that. Okay, similarly, I'm going to go in and quickly now, I'm going to just draw a line from, and I'm going to hover over this edge, say from here to there. Okay, and now I can go in and do my imprint with this, select this object, and then select the object to imprint. Yes, I want to delete the original object, enter, and I'm done. Back to my press pull, hover over here, pull that out. So that's combining our imprint with our press pull, which we'll talk about a little later. So that just kind of caps up our kind of general information on a couple of interesting topics that'll help you in your AutoCAD 3D drawing.